know how to patch, we know how to rename things, we looked at that screen menu. The next thing on here is our equalizer. So if we push this, it'll pull up our EQ menu. So that, again, that takes us back to our channel setup. This takes us to our equalizer menu, okay? So we'll go through the EQ menu real quick. It's not too crazy, and it's completely, it's completely touch active, so you can, or touch sensitive. You can go in and do things. I would say I would try to EQ with the knobs. It's a little more precise, or you have to intentionally do it, because if you're EQing with your finger, you can actually like bump something and do some crazy EQ on accident. So if you need to quickly do something and you know what it is, you can use the you can use your finger, but I try to just use the knobs. Okay, so this turns the equalizer on and off. Okay, so you can turn it on and off. So if you're not hearing anything and you're making adjustments, well, make sure you have it on. So there's an on and off. Okay, so we're going to turn it on. And the first thing, there's all these different. This is a 4-band parametric EQ. I was trying to think of the word band. That's what it is. So this has 4 bands. So each one of these is a band. Okay. So right here, remember when we were talking about equalizers? You have a 4-band. Some are 6. Some are 5. This is just a 4-band equalizer. Okay. So these are your different bands. Okay. And you'll notice when I'm pushing the bands, you'll see these are called encoders, rotary encoders. You'll see these rotary encoders change for that band. So the red is our low, is going to be the band we're going to use for low frequency stuff. And when I push it, it turns red. Okay, when I do the mid to low band, it turns orange, green, and then blue. That's just letting us know we're working with this band. And you can see it lit up, and it has the crosshairs on it. And you can do it this way too, by just touching it if you want. So instead of going here and pushing orange, or that for this band, you could actually just push the dot, and that would get you to that band. Okay. And then here is our high pass, low pass filter. Okay. Do you guys remember what that does?
Yep.
Okay. This is how you access it. So you can tell by the shape like this, because a high pass filter, we're letting the high frequencies pass, and then we're attenuating the low. And then a low pass filter, we're taking out the highs, but we're keeping all the lows. And you can tell by they kind of give you that logo of what the filter shape looks like. And so, okay. So I'm going to push this, and we're going to select that band. And then over here, remember when we said that's how we have to choose our frequency that we're going to alter? So that's our center frequency. So as I turn that, we're changing the frequency. And then here's our gain. So this is how we attenuate the frequency or amplify that. Okay? That's what we're doing there. And then we have our Q, or our width. So this is saying how much around that center frequency are we going to alter. Okay? So that's what that is. Okay? And then the next thing you have are shapes. So you have a low shelf and a bell. So you're probably not going to use low shelves a good amount, but did we talk about low shelf and high shelf the other day?
Yes. I don't remember.
So a low shelf, here I'll show you what a low shelf looks like. A low shelf just does this. It's like a high pass filter, but like in reverse. So if you want to attenuate just a certain amount of frequencies and then leave a little bit left over, you can do that. And then, so that's what it would look like. So you could turn it down or do that, or if you wanted to boost a certain amount of high frequencies, that's what a low shelf does. So you can change the filter shape. but I would just keep it on bell for now. You know, it's pretty. Not a lot of people use high shelves or low shelves. It's only if maybe people. Sometimes people use them on cymbals. That's about just to kind of knock off some of the highs, just a little bit. But they want to knock out a whole bunch of them at the same time. That's kind of the only reason you would use a shelf, is to take out a lot of stuff without having to have a bunch of EQs smashed together to take all that out. You could just put a shelf in and do that. So mess with it, you know, in the next few months. But I don't think you're gonna have to use it a lot. So does that make sense
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
with the EQ? Okay, perfect. And then the high pass filter, if you look here, that's your low pass over here, and this is your high pass, okay? Right now it's not doing anything, you have to push it on, you have to turn it on, okay? And then you see this is black,
And it drops off.
those frequencies are gone, okay? Turn it on, turn it off, okay? So remember when we said we're gonna roll a lot of stuff off at 100, that's where you access that high pass filter, okay? It's right there, it's the purple, okay? The low pass filter is right here. So that's if you only want the low frequencies to pass.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's you have to push it on to turn it on and off, okay? Probably not gonna use the low pass too much. You're mostly gonna be using high pass filters on a lot of stuff, okay? So that's the equalizer in a nutshell. Do you guys want to play with it, or should I keep cruising?
I think I got it.
Are
Okay.
these dials below? I mean, can you control things that way, or they don't do anything?
They don't do anything
Okay.
when you're
Not
in
on
there.
the screen.
They do. They would control the. No, they actually did it out, so you're good.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, they don't do anything.
Does it look any different if sound's coming through this channel while you're EQing?
I don't. They might have an RTA on this. Hang on, let me check.
I don't want to touch the screen.
Maybe. Yeah.
You want to touch it?
Can I touch the screen? Oh, wait.
Hang on. Here.
Just because I want to play with it.
Equalizer. No, it doesn't. So right now I'm playing the drums through, or this kick drum track I have. So go ahead and mess with that equalizer.
Is there a way to zero these out really quickly? Like if you
Yeah,
wanted
flatten.
to?
No,
Oh,
it's flat. Okay.
Gotcha.
So now, go ahead and mess with it, and then choose the band you want to play with first.
Here, sit here and watch me do it.
Oh, because I was going to do the finger touch thing.
You could do
But-
the finger if you want.
What is this do here?
So
Oh,
that
okay.
chooses frequency, and then the one below it does gain.
Josh, do you guys have any
Yeah.
And
resonance
if he
frequencies
takes that
in this
down,
one that you know
you
of?
hear all
Not
that.
that I know of.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
That'd
then
be good
that's
to
your
know.
width. So if you play with that,
Got it.
I always try to keep things pretty tight. You don't want to go too crazy because you don't want to affect a lot of frequencies. You just want to kind of affect the one you're hearing and target that. So if he wanted a lot of oomph out of that kick, he would do 40, 50 hertz. He would get it.
There it is, yeah. Cool. And then this
So-
is, that's the width.
That's the
and
width.
this is,
That's a bell shape. Yep. So
is that the one?
yeah, that does the high shelf. But
Got it. Cool.
just keep it on
I'm
the
done.
bell. So
I'm not going to be running that thing. You guys should be doing it.
That was always cool. If you push rounded. If you cut narrow. Is that
if
what
you
you-
sorry, what?
if you push a frequency, you push it more of a rounded bell, and if you cut really narrow, depending on what you're doing. If you're trying to find a frequency, cut it.
Well, that depends. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. There's some equalization where you have to be, you don't know exactly what frequency you're hearing, so you kind of do a fatter bandwidth or a fatter shape, so you can kind of cover a little more frequencies. and then you'll hear and you'll be like, oh yeah, I took care of the frequency, but I still don't know exactly which one it is. Or there's certain situations where you know exactly what frequency it is, and you want to boost it or you want to take it out, and then that's where you would use more of a pretty narrow bandwidth or a narrow Q shape on there. But sometimes that saying would work, sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay,
So
I wasn't sure if there was something more behind that and
Yeah.
why that's said.
okay, so that's the equalizer, and no, it doesn't show anything. That's
Okay.
a good question. I wasn't sure about that. So yeah, that's the equalizer. Okay, and then again, I don't know if I showed you this. You can flatten the equalizer. So if you push flatten, it flattens it out. Okay. One thing, make sure you have good console housekeeping.
Yeah.
So like, don't have your low band way over here, because you're going to be adjusting something, and then you'll be in the wrong area, and you might hurt yourself. You might hurt your ears. So just keep that band where it's supposed to. Keep everything in the right area. Okay. Cool.